morning, everyone.
Morning.
So, hello. I, Today I'm going to present my second book review. It is another science fiction that I took. It's War of the Worlds by H.G. Wells. To sum up the story pretty briefly, it is a story about Earth being invaded by Martians because the Martians, an advanced being, has already depleted their resource back on Mars. So, let's get started. First of all, I'm going to talk about the themes. The themes that Wells brought up in here is natural selections and societal disorder. The natural selection is portrayed in novels such as how humans adapt to overcome difficult situations regarding their situation being invaded by the Martians. Those who has a hard time adapting to the circumstances of being invaded will most likely die in the midst of the chaos. And secondly, the themes is societal disorder. How can I say this? It is depicted in the novel that once the Martians have attacked the Earth, all humanity lose sense of order, even morality. For example, when the Martians attack, they come to conclusion that money is no longer useful. It is said in the story, the brother's narrator, running from London, there's a stash of gold lying around everywhere, but everybody is just panically running, no one's picking it up. It is because the fundamental requirements of human has changed. Like food, water, protections has become more crucial. Second, I want to talk about the setting is mostly takes place in British countryside. Well, what's interesting about the setting is that it actually takes place in Woking, which is Wells' hometown. That is why he described the setting very accurately because it is his hometown. Fun fact, Wells recount he cycling through his neighborhood, drawing mental image that every house and neighborhood he was cycling through is on fire, to help him inspire this novel. Next, there's the character. Here is the characters list that is significant to the story. There's our main character, the narrator, and there's the Martians, the artilleryman, and the curate. The narrator is a character of wit and has a good sense of judgment. He is one of the few people to notice the oddities in Marsh landscape and come to conclusion that the Martian is actually launching an attack on Earth. He has this ability to put things into context as he speaks about the dominion of humanity over animals and wonder if animals sees human as well as the human sees the Martians. Next we have the Martians. The Martians is an advanced being with also advanced technology who has depleted their resource on their own planet. They told that they have the size of a bear and have this tentacle. So they are described like an octopi. Next we have the artilleryman. The artilleryman is a soldier who survived the first wave of attack. He survived the Martians' heat ray. His combat training comes in handy for him because he make a tactical decision that benefits himself and the narrator. And he eventually regrouping with his remaining of the unit to fight off the Martians again. And lastly, we have the Curate. The Curate is a character that represent the weakness of humanity with his unreasonable persona. He shows no reasoning or forethought into his actions, and he doesn't have the quality of someone that will describe that would survive throughout the events. Therefore, he did not survive. And lastly, the things that interest me the most is how Wells brought science and religions into this novel. And I want to convince you all, my spectator, that science and religions is actually could coexist each other, and this novel has proven it. Maybe I'm going to start with, there is two opposing sides in this novel, the science and the religions, and the science part is represented by the main character or the narrator. The narrator, with his clearly scientific viewpoint, able to survive, able to act with being rational. It is that disposition what makes him survive. And then those who understands technology and science and embrace them are more aware of the world surrounding them, because whether we like it or not, that quality is actually a human nature. And next, the curate that represent the religion part. Wells present us with a drastic contrast character with this reasonable protagonist when he introduced the curate. The curate life was dedicated to his religion. The curate is actually a clergyman, if I'm not mistaken. He's a clergyman. And the narrator noticed that the curate was in not the right state of mind. By adding this character as the narrator's sidekick, Wells is implying that religion will collapse under calamity, and therefore a weaker belief system than science and reasoning. Contrasting the narrator and the curate, it is obvious who is more reasonable and who is less reasonable. To conclude those two characters, one side is believing solely on reasoning and scientific proof, and one side is blindly follows their belief system with no rationality at all. So, based on that conclusion, how these two opposing sides could coexist, it is actually the main resolutions of this novel. It is the Martians were eventually killed by a bacteria. Humans survive not by any technological advancement or their own tool, or not by outgunning the Martians, but merely because a small microorganism, which is bacteria, and that is created by God. In the end, our own tools just is not enough. It couldn't get the work done. A strictly scientific viewpoint is not enough. By killing the Martian this way, Wells is implying that excessive belief to one belief system will blind people. The curate was far too believing his religion, and he was unable to look at the situation rationally. That is why he was eventually killed. The narrator survived by... How could the narrator survive? It is by being aware of both systems of belief, but not to attach to one other. By looking at both sides, we widen our viewpoint. And this novel demonstrated that those two sides did not necessarily have to exist exclusively. Because the more a person is aware of the possibilities of both sides, the more the person will truly knows. And that is all from my presentations. Do you guys have any questions?
Questions from the floor? I'm interested in the last part when you explained about science and religion.
Yes.
Do you think that it's still relevant today?
I think yes, it is still relevant. Especially in my religions, is that throughout the history we have this historical figure who is a scientist, and that proves that science and religion could coexist. And those historical figures actually try to prove that the religion is searah dengan berkembangnya waktu.
Religion searah dengan ini hubungan religion dan sains.
Oh iya, maksud saya there's a correlations between the religions and the science.
In what way? What kind of relation?
Well, for example, fasting. Fasting in Islam, we are disuruh untuk berpuasa, and through now modern days science, it has been proven that fasting has a lot of benefits to our body. It could detoxify our body, and overall it is healthy.
What about the one that is depicted in the story? Is it the same with the concept of science based on your religion, or is it opposite?
I'm sorry, could you...
What about the relations between religion and science that are depicted in the story?
Yes, I think it is correlate because the science that the Wells depicted is that the bacteria kills the Martians, right? And I believe that the bacteria doesn't just come into existence with like poof, just like that. I think it has to have a source of birth or a reason or a reason that bacteria could exist and sejalan juga dengan religious belief that the bacteria is created by God.
Yang lain? Tak ada. If you are asked to do some research on this particular narrative or works, what kind of title would you have in mind?
Between science and religions.
No, it's up to you. It doesn't have to be science and religion, but after you read it, so what topics or issues that you are going to underline to discuss in your research?
Oh, this is actually quite interesting because I think there's two big real life event that was become the source of inspire to this novel. It is, if I'm not mistaken, but I forget which chapter it is on. But Wells took an examples of the extinctions of the Tasmanian to portray the humans, and also
Sorry, the extinction of
Tasmanian
Tasmania.
to kayak menyamakan posisinya dengan akan bagaimana nanti manusia dengan Martians itu sama. The Darwin theories that was posted about natural selections. Maybe that's the topic that I could have done some research, but for this book review I haven't. It is about the natural selections on how maybe some creatures adapt to come over to break over that selections so that they may survive on this earth.
Thank you very much, Mas. You can have closing remarks.
Thank you so much everyone for partaking in my presentations. Let me close my presentations. Thank you everyone.
Diulangi sekali lagi, Mas. Closingnya bukan yang itu yang saya maksud, tapi what
Oh.
can you say?
Oh, actually yes. To close these presentations, I actually do wanted to recommend this novel to you because it is actually one of the novels of science fiction that pioneers science fiction into the modern world, and also pioneering the alien invasion trope that we still see on the modern literature or modern entertainment. Maybe you have watched like films like The Independence Day or Superman. Maybe it is termasuk juga menurut saya, or any kinds of alien invasion trope movies. It is basically using the same concept as this novel. So I highly recommend that you read this book because in my opinion it is a good novel. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Ini kan ada filmnya tuh.
Iya Bu, ini udah ada filmnya yang versi modern juga udah ada Bu. Tapi emang agak beda gitu.
Kok kayaknya cuma satu kok yang ada kayak
Yang Tom Cruise itu kan Bu?
Iya, yang sama
Yes.
keluarganya.
Huh.